Have you ever wanted a Superman musical all about Daily Planet employees trying to sleep with one another? Well, do I have a 1975 ABC late night special for you. Welcome to the Summer of Superman, and now that our theatrical journey is over, I'm going to take a look at some other Superman projects. Today, I'm diving into the weird as we look at one of the weirdest comic book adaptations ever. I would love to do more satirical videos like this covering some of the more weird and obscure superhero projects, so let me know if you enjoyed this and want to see more by hitting that subscribe button, the notification bell, liking and commenting down below. And without further ado, let's get musical. For a little background, It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman is a 1966 Broadway musical composed by Charles Strouse with the lyrics by Lee Adams and a book by David Newman and Robert Benton. The musical originally opened on Broadway at the Alvin Theater on March 29, 1966. The original Broadway production critically received a mostly positive response. However, it never caught on with the actual theater-going audience. It closed production after only a few short months on July 17, 1966. It supposedly cost around $600,000, and it was considered to be Broadway's biggest flop ever at that time. All that aside, it still managed to get 3 Tony Award nominations, and apparently the song You've Got Possibilities was successful outside of the show and was a staple of 1966 nightclubs and cabarets. The original Broadway musical has had a few revivals through the decades, with the last one being in Braunschweig, Germany in 2016. However, we are here to look at the ABC televised broadcast, It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman, and not the original Broadway play because, quite frankly, I cannot travel back in time to go see the original Broadway production. On February 21st, 1975, filmed over the course of just 3 days, ABC aired a late-night special in its wide world of entertainment time slot, and this would happen to be a filmed version of It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman. Now, to be fair, they did cut like a third, maybe even a half of the original Broadway production to be able to fit into the time slot. They also had a couple other changes, as in the original version, the henchmen were more a group of Chinese acrobats, where in this version, they're mafia gangsters. And out of those cuts, there were 4 songs and musical numbers removed, including the song Doing Good, It's Super Nice, So Long, Big Guy, and We Don't Matter at All. The songs that did remain got updated to match more of a 70s style of music, and a new song got added. Now that we have all of the boring production notes and the background history out of the way, let's just see what the hell this thing is. It opens up by introducing all of the characters and the actors that play them. You have Kenneth Mars as Max Mencken, a deceitful glamour boy Daily Planet columnist, and he hates Superman. You have Lesley Ann Warren as Lois Lane, the beautiful, luscious, spunky girl reporter, and she loves Superman. You have Loretta Swit as Sydney Carlton, a cute as a button, sweet as pie, perky gal, and she appreciates Superman. However, she loves Max Mencken. You have David Wayne as Dr. Abner Sedgwick, a kindly, fatherly, and lovable mad scientist, and he is superior to Superman. And lastly, you have David Wilson as Clark Kent, a meek, mild-mannered reporter for the Daily Planet. And he is Superman.
Chapter 1. Who he is and how he came to be.
Chapter 1 opens up with a narration of Superman's origin story, while comic book panels and drawings are shown on screen, until the Kents show up.
Look, Mother. One innocent babe.
Then you get to modern-day 1975 Metropolis, where all the citizens start singing the song, "We Need Him."
He flew my asthmatic son to Albuquerque.
And then this guy sings a lyric suggesting that Superman kidnapped his asthmatic son and flew him to Albuquerque. And he's happy about it. I think we need a little more context there, guy.
Chapter 2. Merchant of Doom.
Chapter 2 opens up at the Daily Planet, where you are introduced to Perry White, played by Alan Ludden, the dynamic, fighting, liberal editor of the Daily Planet, as he yells at a photographer/reporter, presumably Jimmy Olsen, although they'd never say his name. The Daily Planet reporters are hard at work when Max Mencken goes to Sydney to kind of proofread his new article, but Sydney is upset because Max stood her up last night and asks him, "Why should I?"
Because I'm gorgeous.
Oh, and Max, he's going to bring that phony Superman down to earth if it's the last thing he does. It then transitions into Lois complaining that all she ever writes about is Superman, which leads us into the next song, It's Superman.
Saving my life is our entire relationship. He never does anything meaningful.
It's basically a song about Lois being in love with Superman, but hating the fact that she's in love with Superman. She sings while straddling a bench. Meanwhile, others plot the destruction of the Man of Steel. In a warehouse, there is a meeting of a bunch of mafioso henchmen where they go into a satirical rendition of the Pledge of Allegiance. The head boss says that there is someone out there giving crime a bad name, which prompts one of the henchmen to answer,
Marlon Brando.
and the boss goes on to put a bounty on Superman's head, and the reward for this bounty is
Florida. Florida.
which leads into the next song, titled It's a Great Country, which is the song that was not in the original Broadway play, primarily because the original Broadway play had Chinese acrobats, not mafia henchmen. So they took the song We Don't Matter at All and replaced it with It's a Great Country. And I gotta be honest, if this song was released today, the internet would go crazy. A specific side of the internet would go crazy calling it woke. Because this is a song where criminal henchmen are satirically singing about free enterprise, gun control or lack thereof, and bribing politicians.
It's the best country where a crook can get ahead. It will be better when Superman is dead, 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 dead.
Meanwhile, at the Daily Planet, presumably Jimmy Olsen, which is his full name now, is getting yelled at by Perry White again. And a man called Dr. Abner Sedgwick goes to visit Lois Lane. Lois eventually asks him, "What's the urgent problem?" And his response is, quite simply put, Metropolis is doomed. Because you see, his university, MIT, although in this version it's Metropolis, not Massachusetts, created a $20 million death ray so they could stop student protests. Well, this death ray has went missing, and Lois needs to contact Superman at once. Luckily, Clark Kent overhears all of this, and he flies off to stop the death ray. But can he make it?
Chapter 3. Superman makes it.
Superman races towards MIT.
Made it.
Superman bursts through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man himself. Superman opens a door. You get the worst special effects you will ever see in your life, even for 1975. He jumps through the door. The words bam and pow flash on screen, even though nobody's throwing punches. You hear an explosion. Superman destroys the death ray, and Lois writes the story. Dr. Sedgwick then reveals that this was all a part of his villainous plan as he starts to sing the song, Revenge. You may ask yourself, why does he want to obliterate Superman? Because he wants to rule the world. So you may ask yourself, why does he want to rule the world? So he can obliterate Sweden. You may ask, why does he want to obliterate the nicest country in the world?
For revenge.
Dr. Abner Sedgwick was nominated 10 times for the Nobel Prize, and every single time he was the runner-up.
A 10-time Nobel Prize loser.
And if you don't know, the Nobel Prize Committee is located in Sweden. While Dr. Sedgwick is singing, you can clearly see that this whole time Max Mencken is there, watching in the background. And as the chapter ends, it pauses on this, as the narrator takes us to a commercial break.
What is the one terrible thing that Dr. Sedgwick will have before he dies?
Chapter 4 picks up from the shot of Sedgwick's face that we left off on, and he yells out, Revenge! I just imagine sitting at home, you're watching a little Mickey D's commercial, and all of a sudden it cuts back to the show, and this guy just yells out, Revenge! Oh yeah, like I mentioned, Max Mencken was listening this whole time, and he also wants to eliminate Superman. But his reasoning is because he wants to get some with Lois Lane. Sydney enters from the elevator. Max cancels a date with her. Sydney complains that he canceled another date with her, which prompts her to say something that gets bleeped. Max then approaches Lois Lane from behind, wraps his arms around her waist, and creepily says, Hey, sweetheart, how about a date tonight? He'll be through after midnight. Just call him Cinderella. Those were his own words. And then he starts to sing. The song is called The Woman for the Man, which is just him simping over Lois, but in a very toxic masculinity kind of way. He keeps making passes, she keeps giving emphatic no's, and he keeps pushing himself onto her, sometimes physically. There's even a moment where he whips out what is presumably a pack of condoms.
What?
Just relax, kid. It's Max, kid. Lois declines him one last time, which prompts him to respond and call her a super sucker lover. Lois complains again about how Superman is never around for her. Sydney then suggests that she should try going out with an everyday, nice guy like Clark Kent, which prompts Lois to ask, who's that? Because you see, in this version, Clark Kent is essentially an invisible man that sits next to her, and she never notices him because she's obsessed with Superman. We notice him because he's sitting there. Sydney then starts to think that Clark Kent isn't half bad, as the screen pans out and Sydney is standing amongst comic book panels.
Chapter 5, The Net Titans.
Chapter 5 opens up with 3 mafia men that are still singing from 3 chapters ago, which means these mafia men have been singing for approximately at least 18 minutes. That was until they discover the fact that Tommy guns won't work on Superman. One of them then suggests that they should form a union and picket him to death. Ultimately, they decide to go visit Dr. Abner Sedgwick to see if he has anything that can destroy Superman. Now keep in mind, at this point in the story, they don't know that Dr. Sedgwick also wants Superman eliminated. We then go to Dr. Sedgwick's office, where he is having a meeting with our favorite creep reporter, Max Mencken.
Max. Good guy's plan, bad guy's scheme.
What's your scheme?
Dr. Sedgwick goes on to say that the only way to destroy Superman is to have Superman destroy Superman. Max Mencken then repeats, "You mean we have to have Superman destroy himself?" In which Dr. Sedgwick responds, "I mean, we need Superman to destroy himself." Max Mencken then says, "Oh, you mean we need Superman to destroy himself?" Dr. Sedgwick then responds, "I mean, Superman needs to destroy himself." The two of them repeat the same line back and forth 5 times in a row. Meanwhile, in the nearly deserted city room of the Daily Planet, Clark enters and says,
"Oh, gee, everybody's gone home."
Sydney gets a little annoyed because she's somebody and she's there, and asks if she can kiss Clark's boo-boo, because you see, when he stopped the death ray from earlier, it left a burn on his hand. She then goes on to sing about how Clark could be an attractive man if he actually tried. And the song is called "You've Got Possibilities." You've got possibilities. And this is probably the most famous song from the original Broadway play. It's been covered by many artists, and it was even featured in a 2005 Pillsbury commercial. Back to the show, Sydney starts to slowly undress Clark. She then grabs his hands and puts them around her waist. "You won't be shy when I am through."
Come on and roar, you tiger, you.
They dance and walk in very suggestive ways on free ABC antenna network television. And the chapter ends with Sydney and Clark making out. You get him, little farm boy. Go get some.
Chapter 6. Clark Kent finds happiness.
So watching this without commercial breaks is kind of awesome, because all it says is stay tuned for Chapter 6, Clark Kent finds happiness. And then it immediately cuts to Chapter 6, Clark Kent finds happiness. And then the first thing anybody says is Clark saying, "Oh, gee, Sydney, I'm happy." And then they continue to make out. Then it cuts back to Dr. Sedgwick and Max Mencken as they continue to say, "I mean, we need Superman to destroy himself." 2 more times. Dr. Sedgwick then explains that he has arranged for his university to host a ceremony celebrating Superman stopping the death ray. And while Superman is attending this ceremony, Dr. Sedgwick is going to plan a catastrophe to occur while Superman is distracted, and his inability to stop the catastrophe will cause the public to hate him. And Max Mencken's role in all of this as the reporter is to get the public to hate Superman. Because you see, Superman, under his invulnerable exterior, has an ego and an id, just like all of us. And destroying his ego will cause Superman to destroy himself. Max then repeats, "One last time, you mean Superman will destroy himself." Oh, and then afterwards, they will go on to rule the world.
But Sweden's mine!
Dr. Sedgwick then starts to sing Revenge again, but Max joins in this time, and the song then transitions into the next song, "You've Got What I Need." I've noticed while researching and watching this special that this is kind of where the story deviates heavily from the original Broadway production, as this song actually takes place much later in the story. This song is essentially 2 assholes bromancing over each other as they tap dance. Then 3 mafiosos bust in through the door pointing guns at Dr. Sedgwick and Max Mencken.
Is the doctor in?
They hold him at gunpoint, trying to force Dr. Sedgwick to destroy Superman. Dr. Sedgwick then goes on to recruit them to be his henchmen. It then cuts to Clark Kent kissing Lois Lane. Last time we saw him, he was making out with Sydney over there. Now he's Mencken lips with Lois. I guess he ain't no shy farm boy now, is he?
Chapter 7. Oh, Clark, have you been there all along?
Sidney then explains that it didn't take long for her and Clark to realize they weren't right for each other, and all Clark needed in him was some confidence, and Sidney gave it to him. Lois and Clark continued to make out. Perry White then yells at and fires the man now known as presumably Jimmy Olsen. Clark is then sent into Perry White's office as Lois stands outside and starts to sing the song, What I've Always Wanted. She starts to sing as she realizes that all she's ever wanted was to be a housewife. As she fantasizes about cooking, washing dishes, and furnishing a nursery. Perry White then yells at Clark to cover the story of the MIT ceremony celebrating Superman, which then prompts Clark to complain to Lois about how Superman and Clark Kent can't possibly be at the same place at the same time, but yet he never reveals his secret identity. Lois, are you really that dumb in this version? He's literally telling you. He then fakes a cold, getting Lois to cover the story. It then cuts to Dr. Sedgwick and Max Mencken revealing their plan to the Mafia henchmen. The henchmen then march out, chanting, Curtains for Superman, curtains for Superman.
Chapter 8. Superman Trapped.
Chapter 8 opens up with Superman giving a speech at the MIT ceremony. And MIT are honoring Superman by naming their laundromat after him. Right as Superman vows to protect and defend this town from anyone who might try and do it any harm. It cuts to a breaking news announcement. Metropolis City Hall has been mysteriously blown up. It then cuts to a news report with guest reporter Max Mencken to explain the situation. And when Max is asked, "What do you think about the City Hall explosion?" his response, "Well, it exploded, that's for certain." He then asks, "Where was Superman?"
Why did he fail to stop this terrible catastrophe?
He blames everything on Superman. It then cuts back to the ceremony as the public turns on Superman.
Chapter 9. Get lost, Superman.
Superman blows it.
Chapter 9 opens up with a Max Mencken monologue that ends with him ripping his shirt open, revealing himself to be Supermax, which is coincidentally going to be the new name of HBO and Warner Brothers' new streaming service.
Maybe I am a little premature.
And then Max and Sidney have a back and forth, and then Sidney starts to sing the song, Oh, Do You Love You? Sidney is a nice woman who for some reason loves this creep. She sings about how he's an asshole creep who treats her like crap, but she is still in love with him. But the only thing he loves is himself. And then Max does this. Max then approaches Sidney from behind, presumably accepting Sidney's affections, when three mafiosos bust in from behind, knock him out, and drag him out of the Daily Planet. However, Sidney's back was turned, and she didn't see any of this and just thinks Max left because he doesn't care. The Mafia men then drag Max into Dr. Sedgwick's office, and Dr. Sedgwick accuses Max Mencken of being Superman. Because you see, Dr. Sedgwick created a supercomputer to try and figure out Superman's secret identity. And the computer revealed that Superman works at the Daily Planet and incessantly thinks of Lois Lane, who Max Mencken desperately wants to sleep with. But the computer never revealed the secret identity's actual name. Max then convinces Dr. Sedgwick that he isn't Superman, because how could the Mafia men knock him out if he was, and why would he be afraid of a gun? Dr. Sedgwick never responds saying you could be acting, which he could have. Max then concludes that Clark Kent must be Superman. And the computer admits that it forgot Clark Kent existed.
Everybody does.
They rush over to Clark Kent's apartment as Chapter 9 concludes.
Chapter 10, Curtains for Superman.
The chapter opens up inside Clark Kent's apartment as Superman is moping around on the couch. He then gets up and talks to himself in the mirror.
Who the fuck do you think you're talking to?
He then starts to sing the song, The Strongest Man in the World. A song about how the strongest man in the world has the strongest heart in the world, and therefore he can never be happy. Superman is all depressed because the public no longer respects him because he failed to stop the City Hall bombing, which sounds eerily similar to what Lex tried to do at the Capitol in BVS. It cuts to Max and Dr. Sedgwick talking outside of Clark's apartment. Dr. Sedgwick knocks on Clark Kent's door and reveals that he knows Clark Kent is Superman.
My identity's been discovered.
Dr. Sedgwick then goes on to give Clark a therapy session. Dr. Sedgwick then goes on to berate Superman for having a massive ego.
Oh, you're a sick, demented creature, Superman.
That X-ray vision is just another word for voyeurism. Well, I guess he's got a point there. Superman cries because he was abandoned as a child and was shipped away while his home world got destroyed. Dr. Sedgwick continues to berate him. You deserted them. You flew away and allowed them to be blown to smithereens.
Oh, Mommy, I didn't mean it.
Dr. Sedgwick calls Superman a freak and then leaves as Superman is curled up on the couch in a fetal position. Lois then arrives to give Clark Kent some chicken noodle soup. But she doesn't see Clark Kent, she sees Superman. And it never occurs to her that the two are the same person. She just thinks Superman's there and Clark Kent's missing. She then goes on to tell Superman that she doesn't love him anymore.
Now nobody loves me.
But not because of the City Hall explosion. She doesn't love Superman anymore because she is in love with Clark Kent now. Superman is having an identity crisis and doesn't know who he is anymore. Lois slaps him and tells him to use his X-ray vision on her. What? And then Superman stares at Lois with his X-ray vision and says, and I quote, "Yeah, X-ray vision still works. I can see you perfectly." Which prompts Lois to change her mind and tells him to turn it off. What are we doing here? The three henchmen break in and kidnap Lois. Superman can't save her because he is paralyzed and freaked out, prompting Lois to yell at him. It's all psychosomatic, but there's no time for therapy. Save me now. He doesn't. Okay, I do have to put in a slight trigger warning here. It cuts to a big suspension bridge as Superman approaches with an anchor chained around him. Superman then jumps off the bridge in a serious attempt to commit something side. And this has taken a very dark turn all of a sudden.
Chapter 11, Superman Triumphant.
We have reached the final chapter, and Superman has offed himself. We start in Sedgwick's office with the three henchmen arriving with Lois Lane, who gets strapped into a chair which is attached to a bomb that will destroy Dr. Sedgwick's office along with all of the evidence. And with Superman gone, he can go on to rule the world and presumably obliterate Sweden. Lois then sings a musical number from her chair. And this song is called I'm Not Finished Yet, which is essentially about how these men are pathetic and Superman will come to save the day. Dr. Sedgwick then turns on Max Mencken and puts him in a chair that is electrically attached to Lois's chair and the bomb, and any violent movement like a sneeze or a hiccup will trigger the bomb early, which prompts Max to start to sneeze or hold in a sneeze, which causes Sedgwick to try and rush out of the office before the bomb goes off, which is when the three henchmen presumably turn on Dr. Sedgwick. However, that's a red herring. They actually stop him so they can reward him with the Criminal Nobel Prize. And after awarding him with a Criminal Nobel Prize, they actually turn on him and strap him to a chair as well. And then it cuts back to the bridge as Superman climbs up out of the river as he realizes he can't drown himself because he has super lungs. He then runs into the village people, who reassure him that there is nothing wrong with being a freak. They then compare Superman to historical freaks. Michelangelo is a freak for spending 4 years painting a ceiling. Christopher Columbus was such a big freak they had to ship him off on a boat. And Abraham Lincoln, freeing the brothers was the freakiest thing of the 1800s, said like a couple of white dudes. There's nothing wrong with being a freak, man, as long as you freak in the right direction. Direct quote. Superman then busts out of the anchor and chains and goes off to save Lois Lane. Superman then bursts through the wall like the cave boy, man. What does that even mean? That's my brain. That has nothing to do with this. Superman then bursts through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man. And out of nowhere, 5 more Mafia henchmen just randomly appear in the office. Superman then starts to sing and fight as words like "pow" pop up on screen, Batman 66 style.
Gosh, I'm hungry. I'd sure like a T-bone steak.
The name of the song is Pow Bam Zonk, so it fits with the theme of the song.
Don't you do that again.
Superman then unties Lois Lane as he tells Max, "Women and children before villains," which I need on a t-shirt. Superman then leaves with Lois Lane, leaving Dr. Sedgwick and Max Mencken as the bomb explodes because Max can no longer hold in a hiccup. But apparently, they did not die, because as Superman puts it, the bomb didn't explode their bodies, it just threw their bodies in the air and Superman was able to catch them. However, we are not shown this. This is just Superman telling us. And then it cuts to Max Mencken proposing to Sydney, the woman who loves him. And we get Clark Kent talking to the audience about how Dr. Sedgwick and Max Mencken survived the explosion but suffered amnesia. Max went on to become a model citizen, and Dr. Sedgwick is now the science reporter for the Daily Planet and is striving to hopefully win the Pulitzer Prize. Lois then explains that she is no longer in love with Clark Kent, and she is in love with Superman again. Perry White then rushes out of his office to let everyone know that Moscow has seen the future. And it works. And also a dam broke and there's a huge tidal wave making its way towards Metropolis. As the cast in unison scream out, "This looks like a job for..." And they never actually say Superman, it just cuts to Clark Kent's chair spinning around empty. And then the credits roll as they replay the opening musical number, "We Need Him." Now, the original in 1966 Broadway production had a positive critical response. However, this television special did not. Was it because all of the good stuff got removed in order to fit it within the time slot? I don't know, because I don't know what the other stuff was. However, the general consensus of viewers was that the television special lacked the energy of the Broadway production. Thanks for watching this video, deep diving into the Superman musical. Leave your thoughts on It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman in the comment section down below. If you want to check it out for yourself, there is a VHS recording that was uploaded to YouTube a couple of years ago, and neither Warner Brothers nor ABC or anybody has taken it down, probably because no one wants to claim it as their own and take credit for it. I will leave the link in the description down below if you want to check it out for yourself. And if you want to see me cover more weird and obscure superhero projects like this one, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and smash that thumbs up icon as well. And always stay super.
Don't smoke. It doesn't make you grown up. It makes you a loser.